Thanks everyone for coming out today. I know these are not the most enjoyable spaces for these sessions, so I'll try to make it a little bit at least easy to hear me. I just want to introduce myself. My name is David Loss. I work on the Outlook on the Web team, as well as my team works on Outlook.com. But today we want to talk about conditional access, which is something that we haven't talked about before. I know a lot of customers in the past have actually blocked OA for their users just because they were worried about data leaving their organization or getting on local devices. So what we're proposing here today is basically building off of the conditional access that Azure AAD implemented, and SharePoint actually shipped something similar at the beginning of the year that basically puts people into more of a limited mode to still allow them to be productive, to do their job, but not allow them to take attachments, print things out, and kind of just put them more into read-only mode of OA. So just to kind of highlight, I talked a little bit about it already, but we built off of Azure conditional access, so there's nothing really crazy different for what we're doing. We built off of a lot of the policies, and we'll walk through kind of a demo at the end. But basically, we want to just make sure that we're allowing admins to give their users the full set of features in a way that they're comfortable with. So we have a couple different variations of the policy that we'll walk through as we're configuring. And then finally, we are continuing to look at, and we would love to hear feedback from everyone here today, of other policies and configuration that you would love to see in our V2 and V3 of this. So just to get started, I want to hop on over to OA right now, just to level set to make sure you guys are familiar with what a normal OA session looks like. And some of the big things I want to talk about is if you look under settings, we had this ability to do offline settings that synced to the local device. So if you had periods of connectivity problems, that was something that was storing on your local computer. If you look at file attachments, you have the ability to download. Same thing, you can go through, and if you open any of these files up, you can see the pictures. You can go ahead and actually open them in the editors. We still promoted download everywhere, so there is potential to basically leak data to local devices. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is actually switch over, and I want to spend most of the time on the demoing, and we're just going to set this up in a test tenant. And so let me switch to this machine. So the first step, is everyone familiar with the Azure and Conditional Access Portal? So since we only have 20 minutes, I already have gone ahead and created a policy, and it's the same way that you would create any other policy. And you can assign it to a set of users, the groups, anything else. In this case, I'm assigning it to just a select set of users, and Deborah and Isaiah. You can go ahead and select our app, and since we are part of Exchange, we'll go ahead and grant the Exchange Online application. And then one of the big differences is it's these session controls. And so basically we want to check this use app enforce restrictions. And all this is doing is basically saying, hey, when your user logs in, we're getting basically a set of claims in the token that allows us to know the condition and the state of that device. So are they domain joined? Are they compliant if they're in tune? Are they AAD joined? And we can make then decisions based on that to kind of give them in the right experience. So that is the easiest first part of the step. And then what we're going to do is, again, we'll switch over and you would use your Exchange PowerShell. And if anyone, I'm not sure if people are familiar with the OA mailbox policy, and this is basically all of the policy that you can configure for all of your users. And we have added just another attribute here that's conditional access policy. And in this case, I've already set it up to be read-only. We have two different policies. The first one is read-only, which gives you still the ability to open Word, PowerPoint, Excel, PDFs in the native viewer, but it restricts you from downloading them. So this is kind of the first step into conditional access where you're starting to give your users some level of fidelity and be able to do some work with their Office attachments. But then we have a second and more restrictive policy that is read-only with blocked attachments. So it still blocks print, it still blocks offline access, but this time it disables the WAX, or the Word, PowerPoint, and Excel in the browser. So we believe most from the customers that we've talked to, read-only is kind of the set that they wanted, but we know that there are going to be some customers that want that more extreme policy. One of the interesting things, the way we've implemented this, is you can create a bunch of different policies on the Exchange Online side and apply those to different users. So if I have a set of execs that I want to make sure that no data is getting leaked out at all, I can create a group and assign that policy to them. And then if I have more of just my desk information workers that I still want to give them the ability to do read-only, I can assign that to them as well. And after this session, all of our actually documentation is going online, so I'll point that out in the slides as well as the notes from the session that will walk you through how to configure all of this in your environments. So now, what I want to do is switch over to an OS session. So basically, this is Isaiah's mailbox. And as you notice, I am on a non-compliant device. So I am actually on my Microsoft device, which is not compliant in this tenant. And you'll notice that the offline access was instantly hidden. In the session, the attachments, you don't see the ability to download. And we actually put basically UI everywhere in the product to let them know that why they're getting this reduced state. So let's go ahead and actually open up one of this message. And you'll notice that right now, from our V1, we actually don't have a viewer that we trust where we're not putting anything on your device for image files. So JPEGs, PNGs, GIFs are all blocked if they're attached. PDFs, PowerPoint, OneNote, Excel, text files all have viewers, so you can go ahead and do those. So let's go ahead and actually open this Northwind Financials file. And again, what you'll notice here too is that we've injected the same kind of ribbon at the top, letting the user know, hey, we have hidden some ability for you, but yet you can still go ahead and edit. So in this case, I want to make a change to this file. I can still go ahead and hit edit and reply. It's going to open up the editing version of Excel. And I will allow me to go in and make, let's make a change here to just add 1 million to it. Could still go in, quickly edit. I can now go ahead and send that out. And as a user, I have been able to make an edit, still in a protected environment. Nothing was written to the cache, nothing was written to the device, and still send it out so my users are actually still productive at home. Same thing for PowerPoint. We will go ahead and you'll notice that there is this banner at the top. We are working on trying to actually give you more contextual feedback here as well to let you know why your device isn't in compliancy. It could be that if you didn't install the latest patches or whatever, that way it's a little bit more actionable for your users. So that will be something that's coming as we finish the release. The other thing that I did want to highlight is I'm not sure if anyone has been to the other OA sessions. We actually just announced our new rewrite of our entire OA client. And so I'm going to go ahead and opt into that. And you'll notice that this is our new look and feel that has been completely written. We've focused on perf. We've focused on making sure that all of these policies and things are built from the ground up into it. So if we go ahead and open my demo folder here, same messages that you'll notice. We still have the same pieces of content that is there. We have a files hub that we also announced in part of our demo yesterday evening that basically pulls all of your cloud files and your attachments, local attachments together so you can quickly visualize, find the emails that those were attached to. All of that is also protected, so you'll have the same rich experience from that. And you'll start seeing here that we have some contextual links here that at least will take some users out to content about how to manage your device. We're looking to also get feedback on this as well, as if there is opportunities that you would want to actually point your users to something that is more contextual to your organization. So instead of sending it to our generic enroll your device and manage it, we can potentially send it to something like your help desk articles that you have created. So with that being said, I wanted to actually kind of reserve the last couple minutes just to make sure that we have any questions or anything that this worries you. I know the two policies, we tried to boil it down to try to make it somewhat simple, so we didn't have so many knobs and confusion for admins, but would definitely love feedback on kind of how we've done that at this point. The two other big things that I wanted to call out were that we are actually shipping this out. It is enabled and deployed to everyone's tenant in production today. We will be publishing the help and support articles by the end of the week. And then we look forward to getting people to start trying it out. And we'll be responsive on both our user voice channels, our tech community, and making sure that we're looking at this. So, any questions, concerns, feedback? Can you start back there? Yes, so if you still have, so the question was, how does this actually line up if you already have a policy in place to block the online apps? So the way that the conditional access policies work, the most restrictive is the one that actually triggers first. So if you still had a policy that was already there, that wouldn't be overwritten by adding this policy. But if you had, and a couple of customers that we worked with to kind of start rolling this out and testing it early on, they had policies that were in place for that. And then over time, as they cut over users to use the limited access or the filtered access, they basically just took users out of that group and then started doing that so they can get the trial. Yes? Yes, so the AAD, the conditional access, is, I believe, in the E5 license. I'm not sure if it's on E3. I would have to check on that, but I could answer that offline. Yes, sir. So screen prints right now does not actually get prevented. That is something that we're looking at in the future. There is some requirements, obviously, if you have different sets of browsers that are out there. Today, the browsers that we do support, just with this experience I should have mentioned, was Edge, Internet Explorer, Chrome, Safari. Firefox is not currently supported. Chrome is supported if you install the AAD, the add-in or the plugin, where you do the single sign-on and everything else. That will be in here as well. But we do have the major four where we're seeing most of the usage. Yeah, so if you turn this on, and if you did have a Firefox user come in to use this, basically what would happen is they would get dropped into the read-only experience. So if we can't determine device state, we put them in the least mode. If you had a conditional access policy that said for Firefox user you just want to flat out block, that would still be honored as well. I will have to follow up offline with the right SKUs. I could pull it up afterwards. That's one of the things we don't actually see as much as where it gets placed in the SKUs when we build it out, but I'll answer that out for you. Yes, sir. Let me answer the SKU questions after, okay? Yes, sir. Okay, so the question is, if I'm internally, can I allow the ability to download my attachments? If I'm externally, can I block it? So that's the way it actually works right now, is if you're on CorpNet domain joined machine, you can actually go ahead and download the files just as you can. We are looking to make that configurable the same way that SharePoint allows it. So the worry on some companies is, okay, if I am compliant right now, and I'm on my corporate network and I download all this content and I go out and I lose my laptop, what is that? So we are going to give some knobs around that to allow the admin to make that decision. And we also honor what the in-tune definition of compliant is. So if you set it up as that way, we would honor the same bit. And so the new OA view for on-prem Exchange 2019, currently that is not planned to go back to it. That is only service only. As well as conditional access is only going to be in the service as well.
Download. Is there an option to download drive?
Yeah, so good question. So if they are currently non-compliant, instead of allowing them to download, we do actually allow you to still download to OneDrive. And the reason we allow that is we actually support, let me get my folder here real quick. I'm sorry, the question was, is if You are in a non-compliant state. We block download, but do we still allow you to download to OneDrive? And the answer is we do. And actually, trying to get my folder back here. But yes, we do. So we're actually right underneath the little caret next to the file attachment, you can save to OneDrive. And then the reason we do allow that is in SharePoint and OneDrive have ship conditional access. You can apply the same level of policy over there as well to protect it. So from correct. So out of the box, when you configure this policy, OneDrive will be configured. The only thing that we recommend, and it will be called out when you create the conditional access policy on AAD, is to make sure that you set up and add SharePoint to the policy as well so that we're getting the session state for both. Yes? So the question is, are we looking and working on an image viewer for read-only? That is definitely something that's on our roadmap. We want to make sure that we're doing it in a secure way as well, so we're not actually leaving anything on the device. So that's one of the biggest principles of this is we worked closely also with the WAC team to make sure that there's nothing left on the device with it. Correct. The question on the follow-up was, can I save it to OneDrive and still view it over there? And yes, you would be able to do that. So the question on this one was if OneDrive was blocked from outside of the corporate network and I still allow you to save to it. We do still allow you to save to it. You just wouldn't be able to access it if you weren't on CorpNet. The other thing I wanted to call out is we do have this legacy version of OA that some markets still love called OA Lite. That's the really old version that was meant for low bandwidth kind of connectivity. When you enable this policy, we flat out block OA Lite for those users because we don't actually protect you in those cases. So we look at it and say if the policy was applied, we'll give you a friendly error message saying, hey, your admin has applied a policy. Based on policy, we won't allow you to get into the client. Yes, sir. Sure. So the question was, do we have any use cases published yet that a customer had OA blocked originally and then have moved to the limited access? We don't have anything published yet. Over the next couple of weeks, we're working on actually getting all of the white papers and everything else published with it. This was actually fresh off the press, so we just tried to get it added to it so we could share it with you. But so help content, support all of the needed features to make this real will be coming out over the next couple of weeks. Okay, and if we need a use case, I'll look up for you. Yeah, so the question is if I am in a non-compliant state, can I still view OneDrive and SharePoint files? Yes, you can. We have done work with the SharePoint team to make sure our service-to-service calls are fully able to go ahead and still work through that. Just so you know, if you added third-party file providers like Dropbox, Box, Google Drive, we do not have the ability to protect on that side. So if you're in a non-compliant state, we do block the third-party file attachments. Yes, sir.
Third-party can be
Sure. So the question was, if I have this currently blocked and I want to use it on mobile. Right now, our mobile clients for mobile OA does not actually have conditional access shipping today. That is something that's on our roadmap to actually go ahead and support. If you do use Outlook mobile, they do have full conditional access support to make sure that you're Intune enrolled and everything else. And that's why we wanted to make sure we led with the desktop, which is where most of our usage is, and then you have a solution for mobile, but we will be looking at it for web as well. So the question was, again, can I summarize what products were needed for this as well as what SKUs? I need to follow up with the SKUs to actually make sure where everything has landed. But however, you do need the Azure Active Directory license with conditional access. I would need to find out exactly which one that is. But I'm happy to follow up with you right afterhand, and anyone that has SKU questions, if you want to come up after, I'll get your contact information and respond by end of day with you. I'm sorry, so
So you need Azure Premium by itself,
so it's Azure Premium P1 by itself,
or EMS
or EMS plus security on E3.
or E5.
Or E5. Thank you very much. But we will also make sure that our content that's actually being published at the end of the week has all of the SKU information as well as licensing information. So with that, I think I am actually at time, but I'm happy to answer any questions off to the side. I am also going to be at the Outlook and Exchange booth from 12 to 4 o'clock today, and we'll have plenty of time to chat over there and answer any of the questions. And I would love to hear kind of feedback on the roadmap going forward.